They're so deserving of this award because many of the things you know about, but there are a lot of things about the McCoys that you don't know that they do in and about the community and for their church and for the chamber. And for that, I think we just need to thank God and appreciate the fact that they moved here to be with us in Fort Scott, Kansas.
Mark McCoy is a huge supporter of public safety. We've used Mark for different emergencies throughout for years, and he's the first one to show up with drinks or food when we were in an emergency situation. He's on every civic organization and board, or has been over the years, and Fort Scott and Bourbon County is just extremely blessed to have Mark and his family in our community.
Our interaction with Mark is pretty similar to the police department. Anytime we have an emergency, our scene times are extended. Mark's a phone call away with food, drink, shelter, anything we need. Activities, events, with him being on the CERT team, again, he's a phone call away when we need him to do anything like that. Very deserving of Mark.
Mark McCoy. How could I describe all the things that Mark's done? 2 words: selfless giver. Never thinks about himself, thinks about community first. You can throw Mo in that with him. She's right there beside him, but they as a couple have done so much for this community that a lot of people don't know about. Served with Mark on several, Kiwanis, other boards, and he is just full of ideas and gung-ho and ready to go. Our community would not be where it's at today without Mark and Mo in it. Thanks, Mark, Mo, appreciate it.
Well, what brought us here was the purchase of the McDonald's restaurant in Fort Scott, in Nevada, and El Dorado Springs. But in touring the 3 different communities, we first toured Fort Scott, then Nevada and El Dorado Springs, and we came back and toured Fort Scott again. And we looked a little more closely, and we fell in love with Mary Queen of Angels Catholic Church and St. Mary's Catholic School. We happen to be Catholic. And so in doing that, we felt that this was a great community to move to and to church and school in.
We made this home.
Well, I know you're definitely known well for the Golden Arches, not only around Fort Scott, Nevada, but the region. I know you've been very involved in corporate, but I think an interesting story is how the 2 of you met. So do you want to tell us?
Sure.
Just how far McDonald's goes back?
Way
Well,
back.
way back. So I believe about 1980, Money, my wife, which goes by Mo, she applied for a job at a McDonald's, which I just so happened to be the general manager at. And after a couple of interview processes, she was hired. And so that's how we came about to know each other. And I believe in policies and procedures. And McDonald's has a policy of no fraternization. So at that point, when I thought about asking this young lady to go out on a date, she and I agreed that it would be best if she went to another place of employment. And so she left there, and the rest is a marriage made in heaven.
You agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that. That's how we met.
Well, I know your career at McDonald's has been a very large part of your life, and definitely the restaurant business is not easy, but you've definitely been involved in the community. Do you want to speak a little bit to your involvement in Fort Scott and Bourbon County?
Be happy to. I think my first involvement in the community came with and through the Chamber of Commerce. And I had, if he was not the current chairman, he was the past chairman, Jerry Witt came in one day and talked to me about joining the chamber and the importance of it and being a good community steward. So I did. And then about a year later, he asked me if I was interested in joining the executive board. And I did. And within a year after that, he asked me if I'd like to become the vice chairman and the future chairman of the board. And I did. Jerry's pretty persuasive in the things that he does. And so we've been intimately involved with the Chamber of Commerce for more than 15 years.
Well, I know you've probably provided thousands of meals and pancakes and hamburgers and different things to different organizations over the community, whether it's Kiwanis or Mary Queen of Angels or different events, and not only just the food you've donated, but your service. And Mo, and you've always been right there in Mark's footsteps, and we just can't say thank you enough for all that you've done, not only for the chamber, but do you want to speak to some of the other organizations you've been involved in the community? Even though you've sold and retired from McDonald's, you definitely haven't stepped back. So you're very instrumental in what and what happens here in Fort Scott and Bourbon County.
I tell you, one event that we're significantly proud of having done is, I'm sure you all remember the Joplin tornado. Our son was in that. But I was called up by a representative, a chaplain with the big red one in Fort Riley, and he said, Mr. McCoy, we understand you're in the Knights of Columbus and that you may be able to provide us with a little bit of nourishment. We are bringing 300 people from Fort Riley on a specific date to go to Joplin to help support the tornado. And I said, I'd be happy to provide you with breakfast. And so that was a very proud moment for us as a community, for us as Knights of Columbus, to be able to do that. And I mean, and accentuate that, we believe in supporting the community.
Mark, back in 2007, Fort Scott, the Chamber, and the city became part of the Public Square Communities process, and that's when the Community Visioning Organization started. And you have been very instrumental in that since, I believe it started in 2007.
I believe you're right, yes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about your involvement with that over the years?
I do. If I wasn't the president, I was either the past president or maybe incoming at this particular time. And Gary Emery, I believe, at the time was the executive director of the chamber. And he was able to bring Terry Woodbury to this community. And Terry was instrumental in this process. The Public Squares is his. He created it. And he came to our community and helped us become closer together and identify the opportunities for Bourbon County and Fort Scott. And out of that came many different action teams. The Good Neighbor Action Team, the Pennies in the Park. I believe one was called the Inside Out, which focused on the downtown. The Riverfront Authority and the Downtown Pocket Park.
Well, our theme this year for the banquet is magic happens when we stand together. So I'd say the Public Squares and Community Visioning is a great example of that. And Mo, I would challenge to say that Mark probably has about the most energy and most ambition of anyone in Fort Scott and Bourbon County. What's it like to be right there as his partner?
I support everything that he does, and as you know, I try to be behind him all the way. However, all the involvement that he has for the community, I really support him on that. And then I would like to thank the chamber and the community to even think of us for this award. It really touched us, and we are so humble for you to recognize us that we didn't think anything of this. Yes.
There's great names that have received this. We feel very honored and humbled to be included with those individuals in this process, and we want to thank the chamber and the community for thinking of us still.
We really surprise ourselves and love Fort Scott, and that's why we make it this home, and we'll be here forever. And we love our community and make lifelong friendship here.
Yes, we love Fort Scott. We are retiring and staying here, and enjoying the lake more now. Having lived here all these years, never really understood what a true gem the lake is. And we got a little boat, not that small, but a small boat. And this summer we enjoyed taking the kids out there and having a good time on the lake. It's another true gem of Fort Scott. So we're staying here. This is our home and retirement spot, and we're looking forward to being here many, many more years.